welcome to Watch Symposium. I'm Austin. This is part 2 of Nick's custom videos. We're talking about his Rolex GMT Master 16700. In video 1, we talked about whether the watch was polished or not, whether you should really care about that kind of thing. But in this video, we're going to talk about the bezel insert and some other aspects of the watch. You know, these are such interesting watches. There's such nuance in regards to them. You could probably have a whole channel on one single example. You could certainly have multiple episodes on a single watch, and that's what we're doing here. And this could probably be a 5-hour video, but I'm trying to make them manageable in terms of viewing them and dividing them up like I am, and we get to the bezel insert. All right, so Nick writes, I'm unsure whether the bezel is original, and I seek your opinion with respect to this. The dial nor the hands seem to have patinaed much, however, appear original and are the exact same shade of cream. I understand that the 16700 started manufacture in 1988, so this appears to be one of the first off the production line, and given the open 6s and open 9s on the date wheel, which only appeared on the 16700 until the early 90s, I think this may be a special watch, and look forward to your thoughts and opinions. Is this a rare piece? All right, the bezel insert, is it original? Well, keep in mind this is a watch that's over 30 years old, so unless it was a safe queen, you would expect to see more wear and more fading on that insert, especially the red. Apparently UV light is really hard on the red of those pre-ceramic anodized aluminum bezels. So judging from the look of it, I think it was replaced at some time. We also have to look at the font, and this seems to have the thin font, thin character bezel insert, which is what they're producing now. All right, so I think this is a relatively modern service insert. Back when this watch came out, I think there are two inserts that would have been original. That's the fat font with the serifs. I typically associate those with the GMT Master 2s, all right? But I think they did come on the 16700s as well. You also saw on the 16700s what I would characterize as thin font, but if you look at the two is wider, all right? So because of that, I think it's a relatively modern service insert. And you know, you bought it from a dealer in Melbourne. My guess, and we were talking about polishing in the other video, it probably had the bezel insert switched out, and it might have had a light polish, and then it was put out. Somewhere along its 30-year history, all right? Likely that's what happened. And that happens because new bezel inserts are usually what people want. And by people, I mean people that don't know anything about watches. I mean, we know about watches, so we look at something like that and we think it looks suspect, and we think, where's the original bezel insert? I know it's faded, it's scratched to hell, I want it, all right? It probably was sold elsewhere, okay? You gotta wonder about that. And I don't think it's a case of, you know, the bezel insert was poached. I think it was quote upgraded, all right? And then that probably went off to somebody who appreciates that kind of thing, all right? So in regards to the hands, the dial, a lot of the value is there, and you know, maybe this just, the conditions were right and it didn't patina that much, which is fine. You know, patina really is three things. It has to do with time, humidity, and light. All right, so time, how old or young it is, and the humidity, how much water it's exposed to in the air or how little water, and how much light or how little light, okay? And so that can affect things, and we haven't really quite figured things out as far as what makes a watch patina and what makes a watch not patina, and we're talking again about the tritium here. So the dial is beautiful, the hands are beautiful, and a lot of the value of a watch is wrapped up in those two aspects, especially the dial. So it's great you have no problem there. Now let's talk about the interesting date wheel with those open 9s and open 6s, and I didn't know that. You know, apparently the first batch of 16700's had the open 9s, open 6s, he has a watch like that. And does it make it special? Yes, it does, all right? But first, we need to step back and we need to acknowledge that it really depends on whether or not you have partaken of the Rolex Kool-Aid. And I've had a lot of it in my life. And so I'm well indoctrinated. And so I would say, yes, it's a special watch, but not as much as different anomalies. I'm talking about things like the Fat Fours on the Kermit, or rail dials, or tropical dials, or spider dials, or thin frame Explorer 2 dials, or stick dials, or Swiss only dials. So those are a little bit more overt. You can kind of see them. And having a cool nickname is always a bonus. Open 6s, open 9s. That works. That's pretty cool. So yes, it is cool. It is special. It's neat to have an R serial 16700, the first of the first, with that date wheel. But again, it depends on whether you can convince people. And look, I think it's special, all right? But a lot of people might say, well, I would, for my money, rather go with the last of the 16700's with the Swiss only dial. You get to really see that, and I think those are going to be a little bit more special. So short answer, yes, depends on who you're talking to. Probably not as much as those more overtly anomalous Rolex watches, but yes, it is a special watch. And to your question, Nick, is it rare? I would say yes, but all Rolex watches can be made to seem rare if you subdivide them in certain categories. You know, the first of this, the last of this. But it's really, I think, other aspects. I've never heard of somebody paying more for the first of or last of. I've heard of people saying that they might be collectible because of that, but I've never seen anybody pay more. Again, it's got to be something visually that gives it something, all right? The first, GMT with a ceramic bezel. I've heard that so many times. That's not what sells those watches. It's that something special about them, or they're discontinued. That's what makes it more special than anything, all right? As far as this rare, well, I couldn't find any 16700 R serials in Japan, at least on Rakuten, so in that sense, it is, all right? So we're not done, all right? Stay tuned for part 3. We're going to talk about the value of this watch. Thank you, Nick, for this custom video request. Guys, let him know what you think about his 16700. I'll see you in video 3. Take care.